And we are live. Welcome everyone to my mock WWE Superstar Shakeup. Of course, I am Robbie One Kenobi, and in this video, with tomorrow night being the big WWE Superstar Shakeup on Monday Night Raw, I thought I'd come on here. Welcome everyone to my mock WWE Superstar Shakeup. Of course, I am Robbie One Kenobi, and in this, oh my God, when you go live, anything can happen. And what just happened? Well, I was checking the actual video page to see if I got comments because I sent this link out live to my subscribers and to my followers on Twitter, and it just kind of echoed, So I do apologize. It's probably gonna come off really awkward on camera, but I do apologize, guys. And without any further ado, let's just get right down to business. So, like I said, this video is my mock WWE Superstar Shakeup. With tomorrow being the Superstar Shakeup on Raw, and I think it's happening on SmackDown as well. I want to come on here and do a video where I would personally book how I would shake things up on both Raw and SmackDown. Now, before we get to that, let's do something real quick because I have a package from good old Amazon.com. I haven't done one of these in a while, so this is obviously an Amazon.com unpackaging, unboxing, whatever you want to call it. So long story short, for Christmas, I got a gift card. I got 2 gift cards for Amazon.com that came out to $60 total. So I didn't know what to buy. I kept thinking, what should I buy with this gift card, with both gift cards, you know what I'm saying? So I remembered this was coming out, and I said, why not buy it? And I actually got it for cheaper than what I originally ordered it on pre-order for. So I actually got like some kind of, I think I got like a refund or some kind of credit back for this. But without any further ado, let's open up the package and show you what I got before we get to the mock Superstar Shakeup. This is nice. This is nice. And they sell this for $25, guys, and I got this for 13 something, so $12 I say pretty much. It is the brand new autobiography, Crazy Is My Superpower by AJ Lee, now known as AJ Mendez Brooke. Really looking forward to reading this. I don't read a lot of superstar bios, superstar autobiographies, but I am looking forward to reading this book. Once again, here's the cover, which is really nice, and then the back. So maybe I'll do a book review once I finish reading this. But really looking forward to reading this. I know AJ is a big fangirl. She's big into comic books and video games and everything, just like me. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Really looking forward to reading like how she got into the business and everything. And she probably talks about CM Punk in here. So it's gonna be really interesting. So once again, from Amazon.com, I got Crazy Is My Superpower. You rarely see me buy books and unpackage them or unbox them, whatever, here on my channel. But yep, I thought about it, and I knew it was coming out, so I said, why not buy it with my gift card? And for $13, that's a steal right there. So I'll put that down right there. And also, guys, I might buy that NXT book that's coming out next week. I don't know because just don't know yet. But without any further ado, let's get down to the mock Superstar Shakeup. So, how this is going to work is I'm going to give you my thoughts real quick on tomorrow night's Shakeup, what I think is going to happen, and then we're going to go right into the Shakeup. And the Shakeup is basically, I booked it based on how I feel certain superstars would benefit from going to whatever show, Raw or SmackDown. And the funny story behind this video is that this was originally supposed to be a video response. It's still sort of like a video response to the Lex Man, but what happened was he did a mock draft during one of his Q&As. I think it was back in February, and I wanted to do my own mock draft. So basically, a lot of these decisions that I have, I came up with when the mock draft, when he did his mock draft, because we heard there was going to be a draft sometime in June or maybe even May. I didn't expect it was going to be now. I didn't expect it was going to be this early. But whether it's a draft or a shakeup, it's the same thing. So, so let me basically give you my thoughts on the Superstar Shakeup. And like he said in his video yesterday, like the Lex Man said, I feel like this is a chance for the brands to be evened out. because Raw got a shitload of wrestlers at the draft. I feel like SmackDown got raped in the talent pool badly. But what was ultimately their loss became their biggest gain because they've utilized their talent so well. It is so surreal. It's so crazy. The show that had the smallest talent pool, the weakest talent pool. This is no disrespect to any of the talent on the show, but the brand that had the real limited roster ends up being the stronger show, whereas the roster that had the brand with the massive number of superstars on their roster is still producing shit shows left and right. Now, granted, Monday's Raw After Mania was a good, fun show. I loved it. You know, I felt the third hour was a little flat before the main event, but it was a good show. It was 3 hours that I enjoyed for the most part. But still, like, Raw, I've said this so many times, SmackDown is such a superior brand because their continuity, their storytelling, how feuds progress, how they build characters. On Raw, I just don't see that. Now, granted, they've had success with some people like oh god, okay, they were doing well with Strowman. Then he got beat by Roman. He's lost some momentum there. So that's the thing. See, I wish everybody could just go to SmackDown, and then SmackDown would use all that talent properly, and they come up with better storylines and content and whatnot. But there's two brands, you know. So I do hope that with this shakeup, it makes up for a lot of the problems that the original draft caused. Mainly, how many superstars went to Raw and how many SmackDown got. Because like I said, SmackDown got raped in the talent pool in the sense of they didn't get a lot of talent. Raw got so much damn talent with that extra vote, with that extra pick. You know, they got 3 picks. SmackDown got 2. I'm hoping with this that the brands are even down in terms of talent. Even if maybe one brand has like 3 or 4 more wrestlers, as long as it evens out. I don't know if commentators are eligible for to be drafted or whatnot. Champions wise, I don't see Brock Lesnar going to SmackDown. I don't see Randy Orton going to Raw. I think if any champion switch brands, it's going to be Kevin Owens to SmackDown and Dean Ambrose to Raw. Those are the only 2 titles I really see switching, because why the hell would the SmackDown Tag Team Championships go to Raw and the Raw Tag Team Championships go to SmackDown? What sense is that? You know? And that's why I feel like one show should have gotten the tag team division and another show should have gotten the women's division. Or if they had to have 2 separate tag team divisions, the tag team champion should have been exclusive to both brands, so that way you could build up better, you know, more credible teams and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Same thing for the women's division. Granted, Becky Lynch became the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion when SmackDown got their own women's division. And Alexa Bliss did really well as SmackDown Women's Champion. So, you know, both brands having their own women's and tag team divisions has done well for certain people. But when you look at the bigger scheme of things, maybe this is a case of where both brands should have just had – one brand should have had one division and one brand should have had the other division, so that way you could build up more credible challengers and everything. But granted, like I said, SmackDown, the thing I was afraid of was, like, if Becky Lynch went to Raw, she was not going to get the championship run she had, even though she didn't defend it throughout October because of illness. And I don't think Alexa Bliss would have gotten as popular, or she wouldn't have been built the way she was, especially getting called up so early to the main roster. So, you know, Raw has the cruiserweights, and I've already said what I hate about Raw having the cruiserweights. They're not the same. Granted, Austin Aries and Neville got me interested in the division again with their match, which I thought was a good match for the title at WrestleMania on the kickoff show last Sunday. But, like, I don't know if like, cruiserweights are going to go to SmackDown, if all the cruiserweights are going to go to SmackDown, or some cruiserweights are going to go to SmackDown. Now, you guys are going to be surprised at some of the decisions I made for this mock superstar shakeup. But to me, this is fantasy booking, but I did it in a way where I feel like certain talent's going to benefit from going to a certain show. So I don't think they're going to send just some cruiserweights to SmackDown and keep others on Raw, but you guys will be surprised with what I did with some cruiserweights. This is a little heads up. Yeah, and then how are these? And then I'm interested to see if maybe there's gonna be like Raw versus SmackDown matches on these next couple nights. Like because they used to do this back in the day. If they'd have like when it was Raw, SmackDown, ECW, they have like say a SmackDown guy wrestling ECW guy, and the winner would get a draft pick for their brand. So maybe they'll do it like that. Have some Raw versus SmackDown matches, or have some well, yeah, because why would you have a Raw versus Raw match and then have someone draft a SmackDown guy? What's the point? What's the point in that? So it'll probably be like that, or maybe they'll do it lottery style, like they did with Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman in 2004, where there was the little card, whatever it was, and then they picked the name out of the cart, whatever it is, you know, like the name in the ball. Just got a notification on Twitter, excuse me. But anyway, yeah, maybe they'll do it like that, where they crank the wheel, they pull the ball out, and whichever general manager, you know, picks that ball, whatever name's in that ball, that person goes to the brand. So we'll see. Am I excited for this Superstar Shakeup? Yes, because, you know, certain brands are going to get new talent, and I hope that, like I said, it evens out the gap in which wrestlers or which brand has more wrestlers. I hope the brands get like even numbered wrestlers. They get about the same amount. There are certain superstars that don't want to go to certain brands, and I will address that when I do this. When I show you my picks for this mock Superstar Shakeup. But I am excited. It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I didn't expect they were gonna do it this soon. I thought maybe they'd do it in June or even May, but when I found out they were going to do it this week, I was like, wow. So hence that's why I'm doing this video. You could say it's a video sponsored to Lex Man, but people have been doing their own predictions, and I was going to do this video one way or another. So without any further ado, guys, let's get right down to my mock Superstar Shakeup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the main roster, the current main roster, and I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you guys who I'd send to what brand. So I hope you guys like it. For those watching live, leave your comments in the side chat bar, and I'll try to get some before the end of this video. But without any further ado, guys, let's get down to business. So I am going to share with you my picks. So I just need to find. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go, guys. So here we go. So here is the official WWE main roster page. So like I said, the only champions I really see being drafted to different shows are Ambrose and Owens. Obviously, Owens would go to SmackDown and Ambrose would go to Raw. I don't see Brock going to SmackDown because he's Brock freaking Lesnar. I don't see Orton going to Raw. And like I said, I don't see the tag team champions switching shows, because why the hell would you do that? You know, that's just, yeah. So there's Tyler Bate, but he's doing his thing with NXT, so I don't see him like going to either show anytime soon. Maybe in a year and a half or two, I could see him going up to SmackDown maybe, because he's very talented. But yeah, for now he'll just keep appearing on NXT and making those special title defenses. So without any further ado, let's start by addressing the big elephant in the room. AJ Styles. Does he stay on SmackDown or does he go to Monday Night Raw? He's staying on SmackDown because he's just done great things on SmackDown since arriving on that brand, beating John Cena, beating Dean Ambrose to become the WWE champion, beating both of them in a triple threat match at No Mercy. AJ made SmackDown Live must-see TV. That was, you know, SmackDown was the home that he built. And if I was booking this, and like I said, guys, this is my mock booking, I would have AJ stay on SmackDown. Why would you send him to Raw? The big concern is that he's not going to get used. They're not going to push him properly or whatnot on Raw. Granted, he already won the WWE Championship, you know, and he's had awesome matches with Cena and Ambrose, and even Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin in that triple threat match on the final SmackDown of 2016. But like the Lex Man said, there's concern that AJ Styles would get fed to Roman Reigns because he'd just be another guy for Roman Reigns to beat, since you know how WWE gets their hard on for Roman Reigns. But no, I would keep AJ on SmackDown. I would have him mix it up with the likes of, well, I'll save who else is going to SmackDown for later on. But yeah, AJ Styles deserves to stay on SmackDown. He can still do big things on SmackDown. To me, he's the big name on SmackDown because, you know, John Cena is not going to be around much longer. So have AJ Styles be that, you know, he keeps referring to himself as the face that runs the place. Have him be the top, you know, the poster boy for SmackDown. Have him be the face that runs the place still. So AJ Styles is staying on SmackDown. Now, let's move on to Aiden English. Now, I honestly did not see Simon Gotch's release from WWE coming. So, obviously, with Simon being released, Aiden is now on his own, unless Aiden English decides to go to ask for his release and then go on independent circuit or whatnot. But for the time being, I would move Aiden English to Raw. I don't think they're going to do anything with him on SmackDown. So maybe on Raw, they could do something with him, give him a new gimmick. Because I don't know if, because people may not remember this, but when Aiden English started off in NXT, he started off as a solo star. And then they paired him up with Simon Gotch and they became the Vaudevillains. But now, like I said, with Simon Gotch released unexpectedly from WWE, Aiden's on his own, no more Vaudevillains. So SmackDown loses a tag team for now. But I would send Aiden to Raw because, like I said, I don't think they do anything with him on SmackDown. So put him on Raw. He get TV time. Maybe they could come up with a good gimmick for him that could get over. And yeah, we'll see where things go from there. Because, like I said, guys, Aiden English used to be a single star before he joined before he teamed up with Simon Gotch to form the Vaudevillains. So I'd send Aiden English to Monday Night Raw. Next up in the Superstar Shakeup, well, I'm just going to highlight Big E, but let me just put it to you this way. Originally, I was going to split the New Day up. I was going to have Big E and Xavier Woods stay on Monday Night Raw, where Big E could become a top big man, be a face or a heel. Xavier could be his mouthpiece. And then I would send Kofi Kingston to SmackDown. Because Kofi's that workhorse. He's a veteran. And I feel like on Raw, they wouldn't use him properly. If the New Day stayed on Raw, if they split up and they were all on Raw, I don't feel like they'd utilize Kofi that well. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they'd utilize Big E that well, too. But if Big E's paired with Xavier, and Xavier's his mouthpiece, because if you guys remember, you know, back in the day when New Day were heels, Xavier was a great talker. He was a great heel talker. He talked about Big E's tricep meat. That kind of stuff would work if Xavier was Big E's manager. But I ultimately decided that since SmackDown's losing, well, so far they've lost the Vaudevillains, and since both tag team divisions on Raw and SmackDown really need new star power, I felt that I would send the New Day to SmackDown. You could have them mix it up with the Usos. You could have them mix it up with American Alpha. That would be a great match. You could have them mix it up with Beauty and the Man Beast for fun. But yeah, both tag team divisions need new star power. So I send all three members of the New Day to SmackDown Live. Joining the New Day on SmackDown Live would be Bo Dallas. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for a while now. Bo Dallas, of course, is the biological brother of Bray Wyatt. And for a while, I've wanted to see Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt have some kind of interaction on WWE TV. I believe they had interaction on NXT, a small little interaction, but I'd like to see Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt have some kind of interaction on the main roster. The thing I wanted to see personally was Randy Orton and Luke Harper reveal that they were in cahoots all along until ultimately the next Bray Wyatt of the WWE Championship. And then with Bray Wyatt having lost his former family, having lost his WWE Championship, he's pretty much lost it all. So what does he do to try and get it back? He recruits his real-life brother, his own blood, his own flesh and blood, Bo Dallas. I thought a Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt versus Luke Harper and Randy Orton feud would have been awesome. You could have probably done a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship with these guys, That would have been awesome. But at this rate, I think Bo Dallas, because he's not being utilized properly on Raw. Yes, he did the whole heel thing where he was more aggressive. He was talking in rhyme. It started working out, but he's not really done much since. Now, Bo Dallas with Bray Wyatt, I'd love to see that. I would love to see, especially with this feud with Randy Orton going on. It's not going the way that I wanted, but have Bo Dallas bring that aggressive heel side to SmackDown, have him join up with his brother, and I think they could do some serious damage together. I think Bo would be more relevant on SmackDown than he's ever been on the main roster, other than when he first debuted and had the winning streak and had his whole Bo Leave gimmick. Because remember, guys, this is a former NXT champion. Like Big E, Bo Dallas is a former NXT champion, and they don't ever mention that. The only guys that ever are mentioned, that are ever referred to as former NXT champions, are are Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe. Big E, Bo Dallas are never referred to as former NXT champions. So I think this would be a great way to make Bo Dallas relevant by putting him on SmackDown, aligning him with his real-life brother, and having him do some serious damage, especially with this feud against Randy Orton. And I apologize, I accidentally clicked on Naomi's Wikipedia page while doing this because I forgot I was on screen share. But yeah, I apologize for that little technical difficulty. But yeah, I'd send Bo Dallas to SmackDown. Next up, going to Monday Night Raw, is Carmella. Now, when Carmella got called up to the main roster during the draft back in June or July, I was really surprised because I thought she wasn't ready. I thought they were calling her up too early. And then when I found out she was going to SmackDown and Enzo and Cass were on Raw, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out for Carmella. But she's done fine on the main roster. Has she been a breakout star? Not really, but she's done fine with her feud with Nikki Bella. This whole thing with James Ellsworth is funny for what it is. But really, I don't see much else for Carmella to do on SmackDown. So the best thing to do is reunite her with her boys, Enzo and Cass. And of course, Cass is her real-life boyfriend. You know, with Enzo and Cass having recently lost a few matches, I think with Carmella being back in their corner, that could reinvigorate them. Carmella could reinstall. I don't know if that's the word, but Carmella could bring back this like fire in Enzo and Cass, bring out this like aggressive side in them, so they start winning matches, and eventually they claim those Raw Tag Team Championships. I mean, Enzo, Cass, and Carmella on NXT were a great act. They were a great team, and why not bring back that, you know, that fire, that energy, that passion by sending Carmella to Raw and reuniting her with her boys, Enzo and Cass. So sorry, James Ellsworth, you gotta lose your girlfriend or your friend who's a girl, but I feel like Carmella could do some better things on Raw. Because like I said, I feel like she's already stayed, I don't want to say overstayed her welcome on SmackDown, but I don't really see much else for her to do on SmackDown. She feuded with Nikki Bella. I don't see her feuding with Becky Lynch. I don't see her feuding with Natalia. I don't see her feuding with Mickie James. So why not send Carmella to Raw, have Enzo, Cass, and Carmella do their thing, and yeah, I feel like Carmella could be like that big motivator for them, to have them unleash a little more of an aggressive side, not necessarily turn them heel, but have them reignite that fire in them, and then they go on to just win big match after big match and eventually win the Raw Tag Team Championships. Next up, going to SmackDown Live, is Cedric Alexander. Now, I have said for a while now that Cedric Alexander, while I think he'd make a good Cruiserweight champion, I feel like he could transcend a division. Remember, Cedric used to wrestle above the 205-pound limit. Not saying that he's not a great wrestler at 205. I'm just saying that he actually lost weight to be a part of the Cruiserweight Classic. But why I would send Cedric Alexander to SmackDown is because they're not using him on Raw. He was in that pointless feud with Noam Dar all over Alicia Fox. I don't even understand why they put him in an on-screen relationship with Alicia Fox. Cedric Alexander is a great athlete. He's a great wrestler. I mean, this is the guy that put on a hell of a show against Kota Ibushi, one of the best matches of 2016, one of the best matches of the Cruiserweight Classic, and then he gets reduced to being in a pointless feud against Noam Dar where it involves Alicia Fox, because he and Alicia Fox are an on-screen couple. Honestly, Cedric Alexander deserves better booking. And on SmackDown, I feel like not only is he a fresh young star to introduce a SmackDown audience to, and a fresh young star to build, but he can transcend the Cruiserweight division. He can make a great Intercontinental Champion or United States Champion, depending on which title goes to SmackDown. He could be a great Tag Team Champion with Apollo Crews, or he could pair him up with another young talent like a Ty Dillinger, for example. You know, and they could make a great tag team. Because, like I said, guys, both brands need stronger tag team divisions. They need new tag team power. Excuse me. So Cedric Alexander, I definitely feel like he could be a great player, a big player on SmackDown. He's not doing much in the Cruiserweight division. I know he's injured, but still, they haven't done much with him. Why not put him on SmackDown, add some new talent, some new blood, some young blood, and make him a future star? I feel like Cedric is more fitted for SmackDown than Raw, because I feel like he could be a great Intercontinental Champion, and hell, maybe even a great WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So going to SmackDown, I send Cedric Alexander. Also going to SmackDown Live is a very obvious pick, Cesaro. Great wrestler, but hasn't done much on Raw. You know, I'm going to give him and Sheamus credit. This tag team between them has worked. But I never liked it because I felt it was so freaking pointless. These two guys went from going head-to-head in a best-of-7 series to becoming a tag team when the best-of-7 series ended in a draw. Granted, they won the Raw Tag Team Championships. They beat the New Day for the championships. But they haven't done much since losing the titles. Now, they have a tag team title shot against the Hardy Boys coming up, which I think is tomorrow night, or maybe at Payback. But Cesaro, for the longest time, has not gotten the proper booking he deserves. He should go to SmackDown. Well, they'll treat him better. They'll utilize him properly. And I'm not the only one who agrees. So many others, like the Lex Man, Daniel Gaiza, you know, Gene from BSP Wrestling Show, Mike, a.k.a. the Club of the Man 1990. So many people agree Cesaro deserves to go to SmackDown, and I'm sending him to SmackDown, where he can mix it up with the likes of AJ Styles, Apollo Crews, John Cena, Ty Dillinger, where they can hopefully finally push him as a main event player and a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And why not put him up against the likes of Baron Corbin? I think that'd be a great feud for Corbin, him against the Swiss Superman. So there are plenty of possibilities for Cesaro on SmackDown, and I feel like he's not getting the right booking he deserves on Raw. He deserves to go to SmackDown. If he does not go to SmackDown tomorrow night or Tuesday night, depending on how this thing plays out, I'm going to be pissed because they're just keeping him on Raw where they're not going to do anything with him. He's completely directionless. He needs to go to SmackDown. I've said it. The Lex Man said it. Daniel Guys has said it for the longest time. We Are Pro Wrestling and others. Cesaro deserves to go to SmackDown. Also going to SmackDown is the Queen herself, Charlotte. Now, yes, I call her Charlotte. I don't call her Charlotte Flair. It's nothing against the Flair name. I just call her Charlotte. Charlotte's pretty much done it all on Monday Night Raw. Beating Becky Lynch, beating Nikki Bella, beating Natalia, beating Sasha Banks, beating Bayley. Who else is there really for her to beat other than Nia Jax and Emma? But yeah, I don't really see Charlotte doing much on Raw. I feel like she would definitely benefit. I feel like she could definitely bring some star power to SmackDown Live. I'd love to see her mix it up with Naomi. Naomi talked about that on Talking Smack. She'd love to go one-on-one with Charlotte. That'd be a great women's championship feud for Naomi. And then you can reignite her feud with Becky Lynch. Do Charlotte versus Mickie James. Charlotte versus, I guess you could do Charlotte versus Nikki Bella if you like once more. You could do Charlotte versus... Well, there's someone else I'm moving from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown with regards to the women's division, and I'll talk about that when I get to that person later. But yeah, I feel like it's time for the Queen to leave Raw, come to SmackDown, go after the SmackDown Women's Championship, and have some great matches with, you know, like I said, Naomi, Becky, Mickie, and so forth. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if commentators are eligible to be switched tomorrow night and Tuesday night during the switch up, but going to SmackDown Live because I can make this pick because it's my own fantasy booking. Deal with it. I'm sending Corey Graves to SmackDown Live. With recent reports that Mauro Ranallo is not going to return to WWE, he's going to most likely just let his contract expire and then move on. I feel like because Morrow was such a great commentator on SmackDown Live. He brought so much passion and energy to his job. I feel like Corey Graves is the best to I don't want to say carried on, but I feel like Corey Graves fits that role perfectly. You know, I always wanted to see Corey Graves and Mauro Ranallo do commentary together. Yes, they do commentary on 205 Live, or they did commentary on 205 Live for a while. And it was good, but it wasn't as great as I thought it could be. But Corey Graves, honestly, and Mauro Ranallo are the two best commentators in WWE, although Mauro is no longer going to be affiliated with WWE due to recent reports about him dealing with his depression and the reports that JBL bullied him and whatnot. I feel like Corey Graves is perfect to fill Mauro's spot. Not saying I'm not saying he's the next Mauro Ranallo, and I'm not saying he's gonna replace Mauro Ranallo for good. But I feel like if you need to fill that spot, why not send Corey Graves? He's an awesome commentator, and you know, honestly, what else can I say about Corey Graves on commentary? He's awesome. He knows his stuff. He reminds me of Mauro in a way. So he's perfect for SmackDown Live. And yeah, like I said, there's only one Mauro Ranallo. But I feel like if you're looking for the perfect replacement for Mauro, someone to fit his spot since he's leaving WWE soon, why not go with Corey Graves? So obviously, if Corey Graves is going to, obviously if Corey is going to SmackDown Live, then I'm going to send David Otunga to Monday Night Raw just because I'm not a fan of David Otunga's commentary. I feel like he's not so – he's like a goody-goody commentator, but not as much as Booty Saxton is. So, yeah, I just feel like if I'm going to send Corey Graves to SmackDown, then I'm going to send David Otunga to Raw, and he and Booty Saxton can get all jittery, can get all whatever, giddy, happy, go lucky about the Bailey buddies and the Bootios and whatnot, and just because I'm sorry, it's nothing personal against David Otunga, but I just don't feel like he's a great commentator. So if I'm sending Corey to SmackDown, then I'm sending Otunga to SmackDown. And going back up, because I just had to address the commentator issue. Next up, I'm sending Curt Hawkins to Monday Night Raw. He's not doing much on SmackDown. He keeps losing to guys. So since he's not doing anything relevant, just put him on Raw. He'll probably get some more TV time, but he'll probably lose to the likes of Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman and other guys. So, yeah, he's getting buried or whatnot, but I got to send him somewhere, so I'm sending him to Raw. Why not? Because he ain't doing anything much on SmackDown. He lost to Ty Dillinger. He's lost to other guys, so why not send him to Raw? It's not going to hurt him. He's just going to keep losing more, but hey, he's getting TV time at least. Next up, going to SmackDown is Curtis Axel. Now, I've been a believer of Curtis Axel's for almost 4 years, since he debuted in 2013. And I feel like Curtis Axel could have been a big-time player. He won the Intercontinental Championship, like 2 months into his debut, or even shorter, even lesser time than that, following his debut on the main roster. And I thought with him being aligned with Paul Heyman, he could have done big things. Think about it. Heyman, one of the greatest managers in professional wrestling, one of the greatest talkers in the history of the sport. Curtis Axel, the son of the legendary, Curt Hennig, a.k.a. Mr. Perfect, the grandfather of Larry Hennig, I believe is his name, Larry the Axe Hennig. Axel is a second-generation wrestler. He could have been a big thing, but they didn't do anything with him. He rarely defended the Intercontinental Championship after he won it. He dropped it to Big E, which I was happy for Big E because I felt Big E could have been a big thing. He could have been a top big man on main roster. They haven't done anything with Curtis Axel. The only thing that he did that made him relevant again was Axel Mania, when he kept talking about how he never got eliminated from the 2015 Royal Rumble match. The Axel Mania thing was getting over with the crowd. Then they put him in a tag team with Damien Sandow, where they were Axel Mania and Macho Mizdow. And then that died out when Hogan got, in trouble for the whole, racist, N-word commentary or controversy. So Axel hasn't done anything. He was put in the social outcast, but I mean, Axel is a good talent. And I feel like on SmackDown Live, they could repackage him. They could utilize him the way he should have been utilized as the son of Mr. Perfect. He's looking to carry on his family's legacy. Put him in the ring with guys like Ty Dillinger, Dolph Ziggler, excuse me, Cesaro, Cedric Alexander, John Cena. Because he beat John Cena once. He beat John Cena via countout, but he still beat John Cena. You know, have him mix it up with AJ Styles. There's plenty of talent on SmackDown he can mix it up with. Build him up to get another run as the Intercontinental Champion. Build him up to maybe even a Tag Team Championship run in the meantime. And then eventually build him up as a potential main event player and a World Heavyweight Champion. I've been a believer of Curtis Axel, like I said, since he debuted in 2013. They haven't utilized him well, but by sending him to SmackDown, I feel like they could utilize him properly. They could make him the star he should have been years ago. And honestly, I feel like it would make up for how he's had bad booking in recent years, especially when he was, you know, Axelmania started off really well, and then when they put him in the cosplay tag team with Sandow, it just all went downhill. The Meta Powers or the Mega Powers, wherever that team was. So Curtis Axel is moving to SmackDown Live, where I feel like they'll utilize him more properly. I don't know if the general managers like Daniel Bryan are eligible as well to be switched to a different show, but I did not switch any general managers. I love Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. I love Shane as the commissioner of SmackDown. I love the fact that Kurt Angle is now the GM of Raw, and Stephanie, of course, is the commissioner of Raw, but she's out kayfabe-wise with injury after taking that table spot at WrestleMania 33. But continuing with the mock superstar shakeup, next up going to SmackDown Live is Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. Yes, I'm sending both primetime players to SmackDown Live, where I feel like they could do good things as single stars and then eventually reunite as the primetime players and bring a little more star power to the tag team division. Yes, the primetime players may have run its course, but I feel like why not just send them to SmackDown where they could maybe revitalize them, you know? And for Titus O'Neil, I could see him in a good feud against guys like Luke Harper, Baron Corbin. You know, I could see him mix it up with some of his fellow big men, especially Corbin. I think a Baron Corbin, Titus O'Neil feud would be really good. I wouldn't see Titus winning because, you know, they want to push Baron Corbin well, but I think that'd be a good feud for Corbin. And then Darren, I feel like he's very underrated. They were doing the whole make Darren Young great again thing, and that did not go anywhere. He won an Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal where he got the right to fight Miz, but that match turned into a clusterfuck. It just did not do great things for Darren Young. Now imagine Darren Young mixing up with Apollo Crews, Curtis Axel, Cedric Alexander, Cesaro. Imagine Darren Young having some really good matches with the likes of those guys, really opening up some eyes. I think that'd be great. You know, recently, like I said, I feel like Darren Young is a very underrated talent. I feel like they could have pushed and built him properly had this whole make Darren Young great again thing actually done something, and it didn't. So we're gonna split him and Mr. Bob Backlund up. We're gonna bring him and Titus to SmackDown Live, and we're gonna reunite the primetime players, and hopefully SmackDown Live will make the primetime players great again, and then Darren and Titus can do their own things as single stars. But yeah, I feel like if, you know, like I said, we're losing. SmackDown is losing the Ascension, and they lost the Vaudevillains. Well, actually, I didn't mention the Ascension, but I might as well mention it. I'm going to send the Ascension to Raw because they're not doing anything on SmackDown. So why not put them on Raw? Well, they'll get some TV time. They're probably going to lose a lot of matches, but they're not doing anything on SmackDown. So there you go. So since SmackDown's losing the Ascension and the Vaudevillains, why not give them the primetime players and the New Day? So there you go. Dean Ambrose is staying on SmackDown as their Intercontinental Champion. Dolph Ziggler is going to stay on SmackDown as well. But coming to SmackDown Live is Emma, a very underrated women's wrestler, great talent, who just got some of the worst shit booking I ever saw recently with the whole Emmalina bullshit. So let me get this straight. You build Emmalina up for weeks and weeks. You hype this thing up like it's the next big deal. And I was never for this whole thing. I felt Emma as evil Emma, little badass Emma, was great. They should have never tried to change her gimmick. But for months, we were getting Emmalina, the premiere, coming soon. Emmalina debuts in 2 weeks. Emmalina debuts in 1 week. And what happened? She came out looking fabulous, And then she's like, now you're going to see the transformation of Emmalina to Emma. Like, really? You gave this girl so much shit booking. You hyped this new character up, and then you throw her out there, and she's just going to say, there's no more Emmalina. Like, what the hell, man? Because of that, Emma deserves to go to SmackDown, where she can mix it up with Charlotte. She can mix it up with Becky Lynch. She can mix it up with Mickie James and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Bella. Because honestly, after that, Emma deserved a lot better booking. And the fact that she's back on Raw as evil Emma, yeah, I don't know if that's going to last long. So because I personally believe Emma deserves much better booking than the shit she got as Emmalina, Emma's going to SmackDown, where she's going to tear it up with the likes of Naomi, Charlotte, Becky, and so forth. Going to Monday Night Raw, next is Fandango. I have never been a fan of this whole Breezango team, and I really hate the fact that Tyler Breeze dressed up like Nikki Bella, Breezy Bella, and then got his ass whipped by Nikki Bella. A lot of people, the Lex Man even said Tyler Breeze should leave SmackDown. He should leave WWE for good because of that. But you know what? I think on SmackDown, once they split him up, once they split up Breezango, then they'll start pushing him how he should have been pushed. So Fandango, I'm sending him to Raw so he can no longer team up with Tyler Breeze. I'm sorry. I've never liked the Breezango team, so I'm splitting them up. Fandango's going to Raw, and if he gets crushed by the likes of Strowman, Roman, and so forth, oh well, but I'm sorry, guys. I don't like Breezango. I'm splitting them up, and yeah. Hopefully, that means Tyler Breeze gets a lot better booking, but I'm sorry. I just never liked Breezango. Continuing with our mock superstar shakeup. Next on my list is Callisto. Now, when Callisto went to SmackDown, he was another one like Cedric Alexander, who I thought could transcend the cruiserweight division. I felt like he could have been a strong Intercontinental Champion if booked properly, maybe even a Tag Team Champion. I don't see him as a WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but I felt like he could have been a strong mid-card champion. He hasn't really done much relevant on SmackDown other than his feud with Baron Corbin, which resulted in that good sleeper hit of a chairs match at TLC back in December. So I was going to keep Callisto on SmackDown because it's my fantasy booking. I believe that they push him properly, but in real life, I mean, I don't think they have much plan for Callisto, so I'm going to send him to Monday Night Raw, where one, he joins the Cruiserweight division so he can mix it up with Neville, Austin Aries, Gentleman Jack Gallagher, maybe, team up with Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado, have a nice little lucha stable there. Also have it to where he reunites with Sin Cara, and they reform the Lucha Dragons. That way, Raw gets another team, a strong tag team, add some star power to that division, and then the Cruiserweight division also gets another young, talented star. Because I've been a big believer of Callisto since he debuted since I first saw him in NXT, when he and Sin Cara first formed the Lucha Dragons. I felt like he was like that new Rey Mysterio, So I'm sending Callisto to Raw, where he can do some good things with the Cruiserweights, and where he can also reform the Lucha Dragons with Sin Cara. And who knows, maybe they win the Raw Tag Team Championships. And who knows, maybe Callisto even wins the Cruiserweight Championship and he's a double champion. That would be great. So fingers crossed that actually happens. But in terms of my fantasy booking, I'm sending him to Raw, where he can mix it up with the Cruiserweights and mix it up with Sin Cara. And who knows, he wins the Cruiserweight Championship. He and Sin Cara can have a feud for the Cruiserweight Championship. That'd be great. Lucha Dragon versus Lucha Dragon. Next up, going to Raw, is Kane. Now, I don't know if Kane's still going to wrestle, because I heard he's running for office. I forgot where. But yeah, I don't see why Kane needs to be on SmackDown. Just send him to Raw. He can be another big man for Braun Strowman to feud with, because I don't think they've had a one-on-one match since the feud between the Wyatts and the Brothers of Destruction. So send Kane to Raw, where he can be with Big Show and Mark Henry. The big guys can do their thing. He can also be another big guy for Braun Strowman to feud with. And yeah, I mean, he's the big red machine, so send him to the Raw, to the red brand. You know what I'm saying? Next up, going to SmackDown Live, Karl Anderson. And since he's down here, I might as well just rollover? Luke Gallows. Yup. I'm sending them to SmackDown Live, and I'm having them reform the club with AJ Styles. When Anderson and Gallows got to the main roster and they were with AJ, they were on fire. They assaulted the Usos. They were assaulting Roman. They were beating, they were beating teams left and right. And then when the club split following the draft, they just got a bunch of shit booking. Doctors Gallows and Anderson, ring post-itis. I was fine with that in the beginning. But then there was the old day, the old fart gimmick. Gallows and Anderson got shit booking. And I felt so bad for them because they were such a dominant tag team in TNA, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then they came to the main roster. They came out strong. They started red hot. And then after the split, after the club split up, they just were getting a bunch of shit booking. They won the tag team championships from Cesaro and Sheamus, but they just weren't booked well as Raw tag team champions because they lost 3 straight times to Roman Reigns in a freaking handicap match. So I'd send them to SmackDown where they do some big damage with AJ, have them reform the club, of course. I feel like the club, because the Usos keep calling out the club. They keep calling out the Bullet Club, saying they want to tangle with them. They want to go to war. So you know what? Since the Usos and the club have some history dating back to last year, send the club to SmackDown, have them topple the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, have them reunite with AJ, maybe have AJ take the title off Randy Orton. There you go. The club has all but one championship on SmackDown. And then if you want to add a woman to the team, add Alexa Bliss. I think Alexa Bliss would be a great addition to the club. Then she can claim the SmackDown Tag Team, SmackDown Women's Championship, and there you go. The club pretty much owns every championship except the Intercontinental Championship. But yeah, Anderson and Gallows, I'm sending them to SmackDown Live where they reform the club with AJ Styles, and they just take over SmackDown. And then I could see them feuding with Nakamura. That would be awesome. And the thing is, Nakamura and AJ cannot cross paths or anything for a while. If you want to do it at SummerSlam, you can, but that has WrestleMania main event or WrestleMania marquee matchup written all over it. So Anderson and Gallows, they're going to SmackDown, reuniting with AJ, reforming the club, and they're just going to take things by storm and get the proper booking they deserve. I did mention Kofi Kingston. He's part of the New Day, of course. They're going to SmackDown. I mentioned Connor. Here's Connor from the Ascension. And like I said, since Ascension's not doing anything on SmackDown Live, I'm just going to send them to Monday Night Raw. They'll get TV time, but they'll probably get crushed. They'll get fed to Roman like everybody else gets fed to Roman Reigns. So, yeah. Next up, though, is Lana. Lana and Rusev are going to SmackDown Live. I personally would love to see the Miz and Maurice mix it up with Lana, with Rusev and Lana. Yes, it's another one of those who's the real it couple of SmackDown Live. But let's face it, John Cena and Nikki Bella won't be around for much longer, especially with them engaged. So why not have Lana and Rusev go to SmackDown? Why not turn them face, see if maybe they get over as faces, and have Rusev and Lana just go over there and shut Miz and Maurice up? I mean, the ravishing Russian Lana versus the beautiful French-Canadian herself, Maurice. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. And then Rusev and Miz. That's something I've wanted to see for a little while now. If Miz was still the Intercontinental Champion and Rusev and Lana got sent to SmackDown, I would love to see Rusev and Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. But I'm still going to send them to SmackDown because I want to see them mix it up with Miz and Maurice first. And then, I mean, think of the other names I've thrown out for Rusev to mix it up with. Because he deserves better booking. He hasn't done anything noticeable since dropping the United States Championship to Roman Reigns, which is really, really sad. Because he was on a hell of a roll. He was on quite a run as the United States Champion after he crushed Callisto at Extreme Rules. Then he dropped the belt to Roman, and he hasn't done anything notable other than a crappy feud against Enzo and Cass. And I love Enzo and Cass, and I love Rusev. But yeah, Lana and Rusev deserve to go to SmackDown. And like I said, think about who Rusev could mix it up with. I already mentioned these names. Cesaro, AJ, Anderson and Gallows, since I'm sending them to SmackDown. Curtis Axel, Cedric Alexander. Maybe have him reignite his feud with John Cena. Who knows? But Lana and Rusev deserve better booking, and I'm going to send them to SmackDown Live. The Lex Man mentioned Luke Harper to Monday Night Raw. You could do Luke Harper and Braun Strowman. You could do Luke Harper and Roman Reigns, but I'm just afraid they wouldn't use Harper properly. I feel like he's better off on SmackDown where he can have fresh feuds with other guys that I've mentioned, especially with like Cesaro and Braun and Baron Corbin and maybe even Rusev. So yeah, I'd leave Luke Harper on SmackDown Live. We miss you, Mara. Thank you for all you contributed to SmackDown Live. I already said I keep Mickey on SmackDown. Mojo Rawley I keep on SmackDown as well because you have the Hype Bros with him and Zack Ryder. Yes, Zack is injured, but when Zack is cleared to wrestle, you can have the Hype Bros go after the Tag Team Championships. And then you can have them do a split eventually. You know, you can have Zack Ryder turn on Mojo Rawley, and you can do a Hype Bros versus Hype Bros, a Hype Brother versus Hype Brother match. So that's something I'd like to see. Next up, going to Monday Night Raw is Natalia. Now, I'm a little iffy about sending Natalia to Raw because I'm afraid they won't utilize her properly. That's the common theme that I've said many times in these videos because of how Raw books their wrestlers, especially with the Raw women's division only being about 4 specific women's wrestlers. But I feel like sending Natalia to Raw would be good. It would, you know, we could get Bayley versus Natalia, which is a very fresh matchup we have not seen since the draft. Natalia versus Sasha, Natalia versus Nia, Natalia versus Alicia. You know, Natalia, who really is there left for her to feud with on SmackDown? She had her feud with Nikki, which was great. You could do her and Becky Lynch again, but I mean, really, why would we want to see that? I don't see her feuding with Carmella. I don't see her feuding with Alexa. I would like to see her feud with Mickie James, but I don't think that's going to happen. So send Natalia to Raw. You know, we could do some fresh matchups with her. And like I said, the likes of Sasha, Nia, Bayley, Alicia Fox. And I feel like I'm missing someone else from the Raw women's division. But yeah, I feel like sending Natalia to Raw, even though I like her on SmackDown because they've made her relevant. She's been a great heel. I love Natalia. I feel like on SmackDown Live or on Raw, Natalia could add some, could help with some, she could contribute to fresh matchups against, you know, Sasha, Bayley, and so forth. Turn the page, wash your hands. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, guys. I've been making that joke a while. I love Paige. I respect her. I don't think she's coming back to WWE, but I wish her well. She's still one of my favorites. Renee. I personally keep her on SmackDown because she's doing great things with Talking Smack. So even though she's not on the list that I actually wrote for this mock Superstar Shakeup, I would send Renee Young to. I would keep Renee Young on SmackDown. And Rusev already said I'd send him to SmackDown. Coming to SmackDown next is a guy just like Cesaro. This is an obvious pick. He deserves to go to SmackDown. Sami Zayn. The one thing I hated about the draft was that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, after their epic feud, which culminated in that epic match at Battleground that Sami Zayn won emphatically, they kept crossing paths on Raw. They were drafted to Raw. They had a few matches. I'm sick of seeing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens fight because it doesn't make their fights feel special. Because whenever they feuded and they crossed paths, it felt special. So I'd send Sami Zayn to SmackDown, not only because it would keep him away from Kevin Owens, but also because, like Cesaro, he doesn't have any real direction. Yes, he had a good, solid feud with Braun Strowman, which showcased him as that underdog. But think about it. He stood up to Stephanie McMahon after Mick Foley got fired. And Stephanie McMahon's probably going to make his life, kayfabe-wise, on Raw, a living hell. So why not send him to SmackDown? He almost got sent to SmackDown, remember, during the Survivor Series build-up. Why not send Sami to SmackDown where he can mix it up with Cesaro and everyone else that I've mentioned, AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander, maybe him and Curtis Axel. That'd be a good, solid match. You know, him and Baron Corbin. Oh, shit, what a match that would be. Him and Dolph Ziggler, what we should have got at Survivor Series. Build Sami up. Intercontinental Champion, WWE Champion, he'd do well. Sami Zayn deserves to go to SmackDown. He, you know, he's one that a lot of us have said deserves to go to SmackDown, and I really hope that finally happens. But for my mock fantasy booking Superstar Shakeup, yeah, what a tongue twister there. He's going to SmackDown. Also going to SmackDown Live, and I know I've sent a lot of guys to SmackDown Live, but like I said, guys, A, it's my fantasy booking, and B, I feel like these are talents that deserve to go to SmackDown Live, will deserve better booking. Seth freaking Rollins. The same story with Rollins. He's on the show that's ran by the wife of the man that tried to take him out and that he ultimately defeated at WrestleMania 33. Why is he going to stay on that same show? Yes, he hasn't feuded with this man, Samoa Joe. I think they're going to have a match at Payback, but still, Seth deserves to go on SmackDown. Imagine him and Sami Zayn tearing the house down. Holy. I know they've had a couple matches on Raw, but imagine on SmackDown Live. I think that those matches would feel even more special. But yeah, Seth versus AJ. We have yet to see that since the draft. Seth versus AJ would be awesome. Imagine Seth versus the Club. Imagine if Seth and Ambrose have to team up to fight the Club. And I'm not sending Roman Reigns to SmackDown because I've already said WWE gets their heart on for Roman Reigns on Raw. But imagine Seth and Ambrose. Two guys that I feel are destined to fight forever. Imagine them versus the Club. That would be freaking awesome. And then who else could Seth mix it up with? Corbin, Rusev, Cedric. I've said these guys' names so many times in this video, but it's so true. On SmackDown Live, I feel like there's fresher matchups for these guys. I just feel like SmackDown Live in general is a fresher environment with what they do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Rollins on SmackDown Live would be awesome. I don't know if he deserves. I don't know if they give him a run with the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know if that's really necessary. But just imagine him and Bray Wyatt, him and Randy Orton again. The possibilities are endless. Imagine Seth Rollins versus Kofi Kingston. Because I don't think they fought before. I could be wrong, but I'd love to see that match. So yeah, Seth freaking Rollins coming to SmackDown Live. Believe that. Sheamus, I thought about maybe sending him to SmackDown Live with Cesaro, but honestly, I think Cesaro needs to go on his own. So he's staying on Raw. If Nakamura staying on SmackDown on my book, on my shakeup, on my booking. But if he goes to Raw tomorrow night, I am gonna be pissed. Because why the fuck would you send him to SmackDown just to send him to Raw a week later? If AJ goes to Raw, you better damn well keep Nakamura away from him until WrestleMania season. But for now, guys, he's staying on SmackDown Live. Next up, going to SmackDown Live is Tamina. Now, Tamina's been out with an injury, so she hasn't been wrestling, obviously, for a while. But I don't think Raw would utilize her properly. So I'd send her to SmackDown where, A, you could have her mix it up with Charlotte and Emma and Becky, of course. B, you could have her go after Naomi because they're family in real life, you know, with Naomi marrying Jimmy Uso. But think about this. They were BFFs. On screen, they're BFFs. They were part of Team Bad. Imagine Tamina comes back, wants to beat the hell out of Naomi, betrays Naomi, beats the hell out of her, and says she wants a shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. I've always felt Tamina has been very underrated. I've always felt that she could have been a top women's star. I feel she's very underrated, and they've never given her that push. So I feel like sending Tamina to SmackDown Live would be a big step for her. Because think about it. Her versus Charlotte. Her versus Emma. Her versus Naomi. Her versus Becky. Her versus Mickie James. I keep saying this, guys. With all the fresh talent, the possibilities are endless on SmackDown Live. Because I feel like on Raw, there's only Roman, Owens, Joe, Jericho, only the same guys. But on SmackDown, there's other talent that are made relevant. You know what I'm saying? So I'd send Tamina to SmackDown because, like I said, I feel she's very underrated. I've been a fan of her since she first debuted. I always felt like she could have been a top women's star, and they've never pulled the trigger with her. Except the one time she wrestled Beth Phoenix for the Divas title. So I'd send Tamina to SmackDown Live. You could have her reunite with the Usos. You could have her reunite with Naomi. Then eventually betray Naomi and go after the SmackDown Women's Championship. So lots of things you could do with Tamina. I mentioned Titus O'Neil. He goes to SmackDown Live with Darren Young. Reform the primetime players. Maybe push him as a single star as well. Coming to SmackDown Live as well is TJ Perkins. TJP is the other cruiserweight who I feel like can transcend the division like Cedric Alexander. I mean, this is the guy that won the Cruiserweight Classic in September, and then they put him on Raw. He did what he did as Cruiserweight champion, but he hasn't done anything relevant since. Yeah, he's had matches on 205 Live, but I feel like on SmackDown Live, he could have better matches. They could build his character better. They may even turn him heel, which could be very beneficial to him. I mean, think of who he can mix it up with. And I'm not even going to say their names. You know who I'm talking about. So, yeah, TJP, I feel like, would be a great young addition to SmackDown. You know, the Filipino Flash, the Philan Flash. He's a great talent. He's underrated. In my opinion, he's underrated. He hasn't been getting the right booking. Hey, bring him to SmackDown Live where he can mix it up with Cedric and other guys. I think he'd do great, you know? And maybe even turn him heel. Because I thought he was going to turn heel in December when Rich Swann won the Cruiserweight Championship. But I feel like TJP deserves better booking, and I think SmackDown's the right place for him to go. Tom Phillips stays on SmackDown Live, like I said. If I don't know if commentators are eligible, but Tom Phillips would stay on SmackDown Live. Tony Chimmel, after seeing him at the Hall of Fame, the way he gave that special tribute to Edge, announcing his name, I don't know. Maybe I'd send him to SmackDown Live just for nostalgia, in case Greg Hamilton can't make the flight or something, or he can't make it to a certain episode of SmackDown Live. So he's not on my list, but I just thought about it. Ty Dillinger stays on SmackDown. Tyler Breeze stays on SmackDown, and I pray to God they would rebook him as Prince Pretty, repackage him, and just push him a lot better than he's been booked on the main roster. Like I said, Victor of the Ascension goes with Connor to Raw. Xavier Woods goes to SmackDown with a New Day. Zack Ryder can reform the Hype Bros with Mojo Rawley when he returns. So that does it for the main roster, guys. And then as far as NXT goes, I only have 2 draft picks, whatever you want to call them, because let's face it, guys, NXT, their talent pool is depleted because of the draft, you know. So I was going to send a ton of people from NXT to SmackDown and Raw, but I decided I'm only going to send 2 people. And those 2 people are Elias Sampson to Raw. Now, in case Corey Graves doesn't go to SmackDown Live, I would just love to see his reaction to Elias Sampson being brought up to the main, to Raw, because we all know Corey Graves doesn't like Elias Sampson, and I just know his commentary would be pure freaking gold if he's on Raw and Sampson goes to Raw. I hope, if Corey Graves doesn't go to Raw and Sampson gets called up to Raw, I cannot wait to see Corey Graves' reaction. And then also from NXT, I would send Hideo Itami to Monday Night Raw. I honestly don't know what else there is for Hideo Itami to do. He can't feud with Nakamura on NXT. He could go after Bobby Roode in the NXT Championship because he's been overdue for an NXT Championship shot, and he never got it. But honestly, I mean, yes, he could mix it up with Ciampa, McIntyre, Roderick Strong, Gargano, but really, what else is there for Hideo Itami to do? He's been injured twice on NXT, so maybe it's just time to finally call him up to Monday Night Raw, have him mix it up with Balor, Owens, and other guys. Hey, Balor versus Itami for the Universal Championship. That would bring some legitimacy to that Fruit Roll-Up Championship. But I do want to see Hideo Itami eventually win the NXT Championship. But for my mock Superstar Shakeup, I'd send him to Raw. Who knows? There's a chance he could go back to NXT and just say he wants that shot at the one shot at the glory he never got, which was the NXT Championship. But really, what else is there for Hideo to do other than challenge Roode for the championship or feud with Roderick Strong or McIntyre, you know, or Sanity? So there's not really much else to do. So with regards to other NXT talent, I do see coming up to the main roster, not necessarily tomorrow night, but in the future. Andrade Cien Almas, I could see him coming up maybe next year. I don't think he's that ready yet. I love his heel gimmick, but I don't think he's ready yet to be called up to the main roster. So I think maybe next year at the Royal Rumble he'll make his debut, and then they'll call him up the night after WrestleMania. Andrea DeMarco, love you. You are beautiful, and you are super sweet. You're awesome. Asuka is inevitable. When she drops the NXT Women's Championship sometime this year, she's going to go to SmackDown. Hopefully, she'll go to SmackDown. But if I was to draft her, I'd send her to SmackDown, hands down. Bobby Roode, He'll probably come up next year after he drops the NXT Championship. I could see him going to either brand, but for my sake, I'd love to see him go to SmackDown Live. Billy Kane, Peyton Royce, they'll probably come up next year as well because I don't think they're ready yet. I think if they're called up to the main roster, that's too early for them. They won't do as well. So Billy Kane, Peyton Royce, I'd like to see them on SmackDown, but they might split them up, and Billy Kane might go to Raw, and Peyton Royce might go to SmackDown, or vice versa. But when they eventually get called up, they both deserve to go to SmackDown Live. McIntyre, let's see how things work out for him with NXT. I already said I'm sending Samson to Raw. Ember Moon, she deserves to go to SmackDown. They will not utilize her properly on Monday Night Raw. So I say in a year, year and a half, Ember Moon, after she loses the NXT Championship, because you know she's going to be the champion eventually. After that, I see her going up to SmackDown Live. Cassius Ohno, we'll see how long he stays with NXT and WWE. If I was to make a prediction, they'd probably send him to Raw, which I'd probably be fine with. But yeah, we'll see how long Ohno lasts. Johnny Gargano. When he gets called up to the main roster, which will probably be maybe before the end of the year, because I was originally going to send him and Ciampa to separate shows. I was going to send him to Raw for the Cruiserweight division. And I was going to send Ciampa to SmackDown because I thought Ciampa doesn't really necessarily need the Cruiserweight Championship. I could see him mixing it up with other guys, especially like Corbin, AJ, Cena, whatnot. But Gargano and Ciampa, I see him eventually coming up to the main roster by the end of the year. I want to see him feud first, however. Like I said, NXT, they need their star power right now. So I think Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, the main reason I didn't call them up as a team, well, as individual competitors, was because I want to see them feud in NXT. That has to be done before they get called up to the main roster. And then you can continue their feud when they arrive on the same show or if they cross paths in the Royal Rumble. But I do predict Gargano and Ciampa will arrive. They'll debut on the main roster by the end of the year. Tommy already said I'm sending to Raw. Eric Young, when he comes up to the main roster, I could see him on Raw. But I would prefer him go to SmackDown. When Killian Dane gets called up, he'll join, like, Sanity I see joining Eric Young when they get called up. So I know I skipped Alexander Wolf, but just saying, I see Sanity coming together as a faction. So whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I see them getting called up together. Liv Morgan, when she gets called up, I could see her being on Raw. Why not? Because her boyfriend's on Raw, and that's Enzo, of course. So why not have Enzo, Cass, Enzo and Liv, Cass and Carmella? Why not have them form like a Jersey stable or something, Mandy Rose. Yeah, I don't see her getting called up to the main roster anytime soon. Mike Rome, when he eventually gets called up to the main roster, I want him doing ring announcing for SmackDown. He may get called up before the end of the year. No Way Jose, when he gets drafted, which will probably be by the end of the year or maybe even next year for the Royal Rumble, I see him on SmackDown because on Raw they won't utilize him properly. They won't use his party gimmick properly. Nikki Cross, if she gets split up from Sanity, well, if she goes with Sanity to Raw, she'll be a big threat in the women's division. I mean, imagine Bayley versus Asuka. Bayley versus Nikki Cross. Yeah, Bayley versus Asuka. I'd like to see that again. But Nikki Cross, if she split up from Sanity, they'll send her to SmackDown most likely. Nigel McGuinness, well, he's a commentator. I'd like to see him on SmackDown in the future when he gets called up. Nick Miller and Shane Thorne, TM61, they're better suited for SmackDown when they get called up to the main roster. Oney Lorcan, excuse me. I could see him getting called up next year, and I think he'd do really well on SmackDown. He could do well on Raw, but of course, I prefer SmackDown because they just book their talent better on SmackDown. Heavy Machinery, so Otis Dozovic and Tucker Knight, they'll probably get called up in a couple of years. So maybe Raw, because Raw loves their big men. Peyton Royce, I already said, I see her getting called up next year with Billy Kay, or possibly being split up. Razor and Akam, Authors of Pain, they'll probably go to Raw when they get called up. They'll probably get called up next year as well. Roderick Strong, I say call him up in the summer of next year. Unless they really build him up well, throughout the remainder of the year. I'd say just build him up, and then after Mania, call him up to the main roster. So yeah, Ruby Riott just arrived on NXT. I don't see her getting called up anytime soon. But when she does get a main roster, well, I can't really say where I want to see her yet because I just literally was introduced to her. Ciampa, I already said when he gets called up to the main roster, I want to see him and Gargano as a team get called up to the main roster, go to SmackDown. But I also said that I want to see them feud on NXT. So if they go individually, then I don't want to see Ciampa go to SmackDown and Gargano go to Raw. I love to see them both go. Well, yeah, they'd have to go on separate shows if they're feuding. I already said Shane Thorne probably going to SmackDown when he comes back. Sawyer Fulton, I don't know what this guy's doing because he was formerly with Sanity. But then they just kicked him out of the group for some reason. So, yeah, he'll probably just stay on NXT. And then, like I said, Tucker Knight, he'll probably go to Raw with Otis in like a couple of years. And Blake, I don't even know if he's getting called up to the main roster. But that is going to do it, guys, for my WWE Mock Superstar Shakeup. I'm going to actually, let me see. Let me see if I should check the comments real quick for any comments. Duh. So, yeah, real quick, guys. Let me see if I got any comments. I know I got some tweets, which I'll read in a little bit. Oh, I got a lot of comments, yeah. I got a lot of comments. So, TN Couponer. They're all from TN Couponer. So, he says, I hope AJ Styles stays on SmackDown. I do too. How am I? I'm doing well, man. Thank you. How are you doing? Neville versus Aries was a top 3 match from WrestleMania 33. Yes, it was a good Cruiserweight Championship match. Hopefully Cesaro goes to SmackDown. I totally agree. He fucking deserves to go to SmackDown. If Styles goes to Raw, I think he gets lost in the shuffle. I agree. Or they feed him the freaking Roman Reigns. I like to see Bo Dallas go into the dark side and join his brother. Same here. Cedric would make a great IC or US champion. Yes, I totally agree. He'd make a good Cruiserweight champion, but I think he could transcend that division. I want Cesaro to be WWE champion. Same here. Becky to Raw and Charlotte to SmackDown. Yeah, I could see that happening. But honestly, Josh, like, I want Becky to stay on SmackDown because I'm afraid on Raw they won't utilize her properly. I feel like her going to Raw was the proper thing to do. Because she became the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion. So, yeah. Axel versus Miz would be a great match. Totally agree. Hashtag beat up John Cena. Yes, I totally agree with that. Rollins versus Styles would be awesome. Oh, hell yeah. And Rollins and Usos versus the Club. That's a unique matchup. Rollins and the Club versus the Usos. That's very unique, Josh. But I don't know why Rollins would team up with the Usos. I don't know. But Usos versus the Club would be awesome. So that'll do it, guys. Like I said, for my mock WWE shakeup. Actually, let me check the tweets that Josh sent me. They're on my phone. Let me just check what he sent me real quick. When Tyler debuted on SmackDown, he received a good pop. He did receive a good pop, but they never did anything with him after that. And I thought him going to SmackDown would have been really good, but in the end, it just didn't do anything for him. So that's why I'm splitting him and Fandango up, because I never liked the team with Breezango. He also said he was enjoying the live stream. Thank you very much for that. And he said, what about out Rusev Bull versus at Baron Corbin WWE? That would be a hard-hitting match. Oh, totally. Rusev goes to SmackDown. He mixes it up with Baron Corbin. That would be a hard-hitting matchup. But that'll do it, guys, for my mock WWE Superstar Shakeup. And I'm back live. The first time you've seen me since I did screen share. So I do apologize for a couple technical difficulties, guys. But I do want to thank those who did watch. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of my picks. Who are your predictions to go to Raw and SmackDown tomorrow night? And just tell me, like, who would be your wild card picks as well for this Superstar Shakeup. But to end this video, guys, I'm going to actually go back to screen share. And I'm going to share with you guys my list. So here is the list of every single wrestler I would send to Raw or SmackDown Live, or in the case of AJ Styles, I'd have stay on SmackDown Live. So there you go, guys. Just got a chance to drink it in, man. Take a look at everything, every decision I made, every wrestler who's going to what brand. And based on those decisions, guys, like I said, leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you're most looking forward to about tomorrow night Superstar Shakeup. Who are your wild card picks? Who do you ultimately predict will go to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live? And tell me what you look forward to in the future following this Superstar Shakeup. So with that said, guys, this is Robbie Kenobi signing off. Again, I do apologize for a couple technical difficulties, but thank you for joining me for my mock WWE Superstar Shakeup, an impromptu Amazon.com unpackaging. Of course, I bought the AJ Lee autobiography, which I'm going to start reading this week, and I may do a book review on it. But thanks as always for watching and listening, guys. Share this video with your friend, like and comment as well. Make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. And I may do a video based on the results of the Shakeup tomorrow night and Tuesday night. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching and listening. This is Robbie Kenobi signing off. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all later.